Dear listeners of the Triumphant Trials podcast, today I'm super happy because the guy we have with us has exactly the same haircut as I have. So let me welcome Richard Blank. So Richard, let me start with the very first question. So tell us, you are running a business for how long? What type of business is that?
Yes, Doctor. First, I'm so happy to be with you and on your podcast with your audience. My name is Richard Blank. I'm the proud CEO of Costa Rica's call center. We are a bilingual, dedicated call center that deals with sales, customer support, lead gen, appointment setting. Have 150 strong, about to celebrate our 17th year in business. And
Nice.
it's been a good journey of some twists and turns, but I tell you what, very satisfying.
So you've been working with for build that company 17 years ago, or you joined it in the process and became the CEO? What's
Very
the
smart
story?
question. Well, in August of 2000, when I was 27, I was given a chance to come to Costa Rica for 2 months and work at a friend's center. Well, I kind of felt very at home there, so I decided to stay. Worked at my friend's center for 4 years so I could learn the business from the inside out, not at
Hmm.
sea level. So I learned it. I learned retention, onboarding, customer support, sales, SEO, affiliate management, even some of the labor laws here, which was great.
Okay.
And so when I was in my mid 30s, I was in between jobs and I decided to throw my hat in the ring. So I created a website with just the experience I had. I just didn't have the actual building yet. And the phone started ringing. And then in February 6th of 2008, a buddy of mine in Florida hired me for one seat for 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually did
It
it.
it has to start with one deal, right?
Brother, water in the desert. I'm going to survive another day. And so from there, the run didn't stop. But I tell you what, there were some dips. It happened to me twice. The first one was in 2010 when I lost my largest client. I went from like 89 seats down to four.
Oh shit.
That was not good. And
So
then
that's
COVID.
if I may interrupt, that's the traditional 80-20 era, right? Where you have one client or 20% of your client making 80% of your revenue and 80% making 20%. But when the 20 die, your 80% are gone, right?
Listen, I was willing to take what I could get, but the five campaigns I never took was sports books, casinos, stocks, pharmacies, or sweepstakes. Regardless of what you've seen in Hollywood, a lot of call centers do amazing work for companies, small to medium sized, to retain, upsell, and get referrals from their clients. And so um, I would have loved to have had a more diverse portfolio, but I took what I could get. But this whale that I had gave me enough reserves so I could survive 6 months to 8 months till I could build that business back. But I was renting space at the time. So, my building was slow. My first 2 years, I was renting a turnkey station at a blended call center. So I really didn't have a lot of privacy, but I could scale accordingly, get my clients, and have some
Right.
capital. Then I was renting space. And right when I rented that space and put in the lease for 5 years and
Boom.
put in about 50 stations, and I was building out the server room, all of a sudden, you lose the client. And so, what do? You could lick your wounds, you could close up shop and keep the cash you have remaining, travel a little bit and figure out what to do, or almost as they say, put it back in. And when you put your own money in, not
Mm.
somebody else's, and if it's money that you've already earned, it's not really a stake in the game. It's a little more spiritual than that. You realize where that money could go, what it could do for. Do you really believe in yourself?
Mm.
To really bet on yourself. And that's a nice thing to feel that you trust yourself enough to put your money behind it. And we did. And fortunately, we built the business back. But then COVID, you know what that did to my industry, doctor? And this was interesting. This is such a linguistic environment.
Right.
People were feeding off of energy, high fiving, really learning words and grammar and sentences. But when everyone started working from home, my business was able to survive, but it destroyed any sort of synergy,
Okay.
camaraderie, buddy buddy. It's like imagine working out at home compared to the gym. You're not going to get a couple extra reps because no one's spotting you.
Hmm.
That's the difference. And so yeah, I'm fortunate to still be in business, but that heyday of that floor being packed of hundreds of agents and walking the rows and feeling that energy, that's long gone. And so I miss it. I miss it. So maybe we're in the third and final chapter of my book. And that's why I'm here today to pay it forward and share advice and let your budding entrepreneurs know to hang in there. This is a
Yeah.
12-round fight. You need to pace yourself so you don't burn out when you have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
minor
yeah.
setback.
That's what I always say to people. It's endurance. It's long distance running, and you may agree with me or not, but I think that what we see nowadays with all those guys who pretend to become rich in, a snap of a finger overnight because they had that viral video or whatever crap, and no, in fact, it's not true. It's a bloody long run, right? You have to, well, so as we're talking about that, what's your biggest success up to now in those years where you've been a CEO?
Being vulnerable, having myself out there. I'm
Uh-huh.
on your second podcast and I've met some amazing people and we talk about one another. I'd like to be proud of what I've invested my time in. Sure, I've done exceptionally well for myself, but I feel it's a luxury trade. I was able to pay it forward in regards to linguistic education
Hmm.
and use my learnings at the University of Arizona in Telemundo to teach something. I was a terrible student, but I love my teachers. The fact that I'm a teacher, really? It's like the kid that got in trouble as a child and then they're a cop. I was a
Yeah.
terrible student and now I'm a teacher. So go figure. Sometimes they're the best teachers. What's my greatest success, my friend? Let's put the money aside because there will
Yeah,
be
yeah, sure, sure.
100 people that have made more than me and that are larger than me. Self-satisfaction, the fact that this was not a family contact, it wasn't inbred, it wasn't something I learned a second language on my own. Great
Mhm.
grandpa learned English from Eastern Europe when he came at the 20th, but I, as a great grandson, decided to learn Spanish and I did dedicated practice above and beyond what school asked for me. I loved hanging out, having coffee. I love asking como se dice and learning new vocabulary words. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz when we went from black and white to color. The moment that you start speaking a second language, the world becomes brighter.
Mm.
You're more attentive. You're translating, which makes you more in the now compared to wandering. And you're always wondering of expansive vocabulary just to be more descriptive. Spanish has the subjunctive tense. It represents the desire and the doubt. It's a romantic language. And so the fact that I'm able to express emotion when I speak and
Mm.
really do it in a Shakespearean way makes you seem better. And so you're more interesting. And what a gift. What a gift that kept on giving. And the fact that I can earn a living from it and angle it in a way where I could run a call center, but hire the right people to manage this for me, the machine. You got to be kidding me, doctor. This was a gift, but it was a gift I had to make myself
Yeah,
because a lot of people have a blueprint for your life. You're supposed to follow in your family's footsteps. You're
right.
supposed to be a doctor or an accountant and an attorney or go into the real estate business. But what happens to the one that's the artist, that's the Renaissance man that really feels a passion and doesn't want to be in a box, no matter how much you pay them,
Mm.
no matter how many clients you give them because they're your friends, your parents. No, they want to live a true life. It needs to be raw. It needs to be felt. And finally, when it comes to you mentioned faking beforehand, that's per the person. And sometimes you need to be confident to ask a girl to dance. I completely understand that.
Mm.
But then again, if you're faking a certain success in order to make yourself feel better, I feel sad for you
Yeah, oh,
because
absolutely.
golden Jews lose its luster. I'd rather have the real relationship with you, doctor, than paying for you to be my friend or you only liking me because I'm renting a Lamborghini for a weekend
Mm.
or I'm paying for a certain hotel room and spending a budget on a credit card. It's the wise man acts their wage because you will see me one day when my shirt is torn and the rain is on me and I don't have a dollar on me. And you're going to judge me during that day. And all those Instagram posts and you posing in front of cars and planes and parties and friends and stuff, what's that going to do for you on a rainy Wednesday when you're
Yeah.
pushing your car because you ran out of gas by accident or there's a problem? That's the real character that comes out. And how many times have people been surprised and looked over and go, I didn't think that was you. And why are you gloating? Why are you crying? Why
Mm.
are you frustrated? You were supposed to be the man. And so truth is the best way because it's consistent as I say before, put your chest out, be assertive, but don't be too aggressive. And I think if you do that, people approve of someone being bold, and they like vigor, they like grit, they like the old school college try. But like the Greeks had that thing where you don't talk about your future successes because your tongue's not keeping up with what you're doing. They only spoke about what they've already accomplished. So they never told tall tales. And I think that's a very nice governor for some people sometime. I think it's very nice to pace yourself of where you are.
Yeah.
It's a healthier way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. I agree. Yeah. So that was magnificent success. So you already expressed one of the few things that happened, of the few mishaps in the business that happened. What were the biggest failures, or the biggest failure? We can also make it singular, just one. Uh, uh, and what did you learn out of it?
First is it wasn't financial because I was extremely conservative with the money. I put my taxes and salaries before my own money, and I wasn't going out with champagne and roses. So let's put that aside.
Mhm.
It was delegating. It was maybe bringing somebody in for a certain position that wasn't the right fit. I think that things need to be done organically, and it's not me that promotes you, it's the people. You need to be respected by your colleagues in order for them to realize that you were the best. And so I like to promote anybody at any age, at any stage. I've
Mhm.
had 18-year-olds that rocket to the top, and guys that have been with me 10 years in their 40s that just, they mosey on in, do their great job, but, they're just pawns. They're not knights
Yeah,
or
yeah,
kings. And that's okay. They're still important on the board, but, they're not really making too many moves. And so you can't force, I've tried to force a couple people that have been with me for years to do public speaking or in management, but they prefer to be on the phone. And they said, Richard, instead of me standing up, being uncomfortable and trying to train people for a week, why don't you put somebody next to me so they can shadow and I can work with them on a one-to-one basis and they can feed off of that sort of energy. I'm better in that way. And I said, you know what? You're right. And so it's a great way to take a step back and realize right bus, right seat. And, I guess the final thing was attrition rate. There's natural attrition, and there's 300% attrition in my industry.
wow.
Amazon is here. So, doctor, I'm going to lose people for scheduling conflicts. Your girlfriend works there, closer to your home. And if you're
Yeah.
talented, you might make more money. But I tell you what, I have never given someone the walk of shame. I'm not going to
Uh-huh.
make you cry on the phone. That's not what I'm here to do. I'll call the balls and the strikes and give you some guilt. But I know you're better than that. And you might be out of character today. So these are the sort of things I might need to bring to your attention. So in a mature way, you kind of see it. I'll praise you in public, but privately, we might need to have a coffee and say, hey, Tommy boy, come on. You did 44 last week. You're doing 10 today. What's wrong with you? You're supposed to be my main man. And so people have issues outside the office. It's not like an after school special or a happy movie with
Mm.
rainbows and sunsets at the end. People take care of ailing parents. They have children. They have bills to pay. They might be juggling school and work. And so if you think you just see them when they come and when they leave, it's just like like a cartoon apparition or something. That's not right. There's a second half to the story. There are things
Right.
that are behind the curtain. And so I don't know about you, but I've been given plenty of second chances, and the real good people gave me a third chance. And so, as I mentioned before, the kid that breaks the window knows in the future how to fix them and clean them. And so I can see the signs, and I try to use preventative measures before it scales out of control. And as long as they're not severely breaking the labor laws, but if I see something that I can look the other way,
Mm.
the face, we learn the lesson, then you got away with it, but just don't do it again.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't know. It's one of those things where it's a give and a take. How much you invest in somebody, what you want from them. But then there's a point, my man, and I'll make my last point, that you have your dignity. I'm never going to beg for business. I need someone naturally like a bird with an open cage. If you really want to be here, come back. I'm not going to force you. The cage door is open.
Mm.
And I think that's a healthier way compared to fear or
Mm.
forcing somebody to do
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Yeah. You know what's interesting is very often, I mean, the Triumph and Trials podcast has now 10, 12 interviews or so. And
Yeah,
I would say that each time we come to the failure and lessons section, yeah, I would say 80, 90% of the people, rep it was about it was about people problems. It's very interesting. It's not about I made the wrong decision. La, la, la. It's well, yes, I made the wrong decision because of the wrong person, or I didn't see what was right in that person. So it's very interesting to see that it all circles back to being humans and building human relationships. And I think I love the fact that you say that we are humans. So there is one part of the story at work, but there is another story running as the rest of their life because work is just one third of people's life. Oh yeah.
that's true. You know, it's so interesting when people fill out resumes and you ask certain things, they're like, yeah, I want to be a supervisor. Yeah, but I don't even know you, you know? And I appreciate that. So I do a little trick here, doctor. Besides the bells and the whistles and your work experience and all of your rehearsed answers, because you're excellent in the interview,
Mm.
what about the zig and the zag? There's no straight lines in nature. Come on. Thomas is going to ask me a really good question. It's not on the script. Am I able to answer him? So why don't you turn the paper over and give me a coming of age moment? I want to know when you beat up a bully or saved a kitten, when you were a hero for a day, the moment you shed some skin as a human being, maybe matured a little bit or learned your life lesson. And when I read things, and I'm not expecting you to disclose secrets about yourself, but I'll see some things that are canned and shallow and what they want me to hear. But then someone talks about trying to learn an instrument or learning a grandma's recipe or helping their dad do some yard work. And that was one of the greatest afternoons they ever had with them. And I love them for it
But
because
yeah.
they, I can give them a nickname, right?
Yeah, you told me
Number
that last
one.
time you love nicknames.
And then through healthy manipulation, when they're feeling blue, I can remind them about grandma's beautiful apple pie. Come on, you know you did it with the extra cinnamon on it. And they're like, you're right, Richard. Can you smell it, doctor? And you're like, I can smell it. I go, I know you can. Can you taste it? I can taste it. Remember how sweet Grammy was in the kitchen? I do. You feel better now, buddy? I do. We'll go get them. And that's just a wonderful way for us to just reset again in a healthy way. And then they say, Richard, out of all the bosses, you're the only one that ever asked me about grandma's apple pie. They never even knew who I was. And so when you get certain levels of depth, you don't need to run to them the last minute while they're freaking out saying, hey, Billy, no, it's Johnny. Oh, I don't even know the kid's name. What's wrong compared to, come on over here,
Yeah.
Tommy. What's
Yeah, but
going on today? And so I think I can cash in my chips,
uh,
right? When it was normal for the one time when you realize it's serious and I'm being there. And so
yeah.
I've seen that as a wonderful insurance policy for me to calm them down for a minute and realize, hey, don't judge me on the others. We've had 7 different conversations about 7 different things before you were freaking out today.
Mm,
So let's all give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. And that's one of the ways in which I've been able to preserve people here.
nice. But up to how many people can you do that? Because at one stage, I mean, you still have a business to run, right? You knowing everyone, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I love the way you do things, but I would say that I don't know, just throwing a number out of the air, around 100 people, maybe you cannot remember every one of them or have
You
those
can.
conversations.
How deep do you want to plant your soil? I'm not doing trees where it's 4 feet deep. You're crazy. But if we're putting little seeds in and I can put it in under 1 or 2 inches, I can handle 100. I just
Mhm.
can't do your roots. That's too much unless you've been with
Yeah.
me for 10
Okay. Okay.
and I've watched you grow. But my mental ability and my muscle memory. And
Mm.
also, I do cheat. I have their name tags on their desk. Come on. Of course
Yeah.
I do. Not only
That's
that,
cheating.
doctor, do you remember the stars that used to get in kindergarten when you do something well, like the gold stars and stuff? So when they have a sale, I'll go put one on their things. I'm like, good job, Jimmy. Hey, come on. I know Jimmy's name by the end of the week. And so you need to give yourself some buffers. And I got to
Yeah.
have an excuse to be there. If you're having a great day, I'm going to give you a gold star and put it on your name so it keeps going around it. And You play kindergarten. Everyone loves a gold star.
That's excellent. So, is there any other lesson that you would share with that you think you could help other CEOs and business owners?
Of course, you better back up what you're saying you're going to do. Unless you're coming in as an accountant to write checks, if you're running a certain industry, you better know how to fix that machine.
Uh-huh.
And so when I go out on the floor with all these budding warriors and people with 10, 15 years experience, besides looking good, I got to sound good. And you can put me on any of my projects at any time, at any call, and I can match or exceed in regards to first call resolution, the metrics, the qualifying, the soft skills. I'm not saying I'm going to get more sales out of it than you,
No.
but I'm definitely going to go A to Z, 1 to 3 on what we've been trained,
Hmm.
especially using military alphabet and positive escalations, mentioning Betty, that transferred me to you, doctor. I'm going to mention it verbally and in writing. So when I call your company back for my third podcast episode and Betty answers the phone, I'm going to get a hero's welcome. And then they give me 5 more things about you. And then the next thing you know, you wonder why you're building such a healthy pipeline and you separate yourself from thousands. That's why I've earned their respect. And the
Mm.
fact that I'm an expatriate, I've been here for 25 years. I'm married a Costa Rican. I pay my taxes. I use my real name on the internet. There's no alias. And you want to hear something funny? The name of my company is Costa Rica's call center. I'm not even from here, but I'm brazen enough to say that my company is Costa Rica's call center. Yes, with the
Of course.
apostrophe S. Yeah.
Of
Come
course,
on,
you should
Doc.
be proud of it. Come on.
Come on, we're in class. I'm front row center waving my hand with an apple. I want to pass this class. Yeah, Doc, we're going for it since day one. Since day one, I was going for it with good faith and good intentions. And that's why the stars became aligned.
Nice. So, as we are on this trend, what would be for today a key takeaway that you have for the listeners, for the audience?
AI. Oh, yeah, AI. Is it a threat to my industry? I don't know. Ask the buggy whip industry. Of course it is. The Industrial Revolution, the steam engine, you name it. But this is what I do see. AI is amazing in regards to gathering. Let it bring 90% of the way, let it do what it needs to do. But
Mhm.
that final 10% needs to be done through real interpersonal empathy, through electromagnetic, transfer
Yeah, yeah.
of what humans have with one another. That's why a painting is better than a print, live theater compared to the cine, and someone's home cooked meal compared to a microwave thing at the store. Come on. And I believe in the future with so much AI and so many things that are going to be amazing in one way. But here's an interesting thought for you and your amazing audience. You could go be a teacher in a school and not earn that much money, but feel those are the steps you need to do, or have the pure faith and passion and do what you do, recite Shakespeare in the park for tips and make 100 times that amount. In fact, a Sherlock Holmes episode had that, of a beggar that used to repeat certain things in history and make more money than he was as a teacher. And the thing is, I'm trying to say is, instead of focusing on Spotify or YouTube or Instagram, I mean, we're not Taylor Swift. It's just not going to happen. And so you might need to, if you need to be that one guy that plays the violin in the middle of the square downtown, don't kid yourself if you don't get hired for private parties. The local news doesn't film you. You make the tips. I remember watching Venice Beach videos, and there was this one guy that was on roller skates that used to play Jimi Hendrix and stuff and skate around. Famous. And I think the most beautiful works of famous is not being chum in the water for sharks, where you're just competing for a
Mm.
chunk and killing each other. Maybe you should go into the opposite direction of what everyone does, cut right a little bit, and then make your move. And so um, be the Shakespeare in the park for tips compared to fighting for that position
Mm.
somewhere else where it just doesn't feel right, because it will come around and you will get that exposure that you're looking for, and you'll never lose the love for what you're doing. The moment that you lose that fidelity and you sell your soul for money or
Mhm.
because you're desperate and making bad decisions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then doctor, it doesn't make any sort of sense. And so finally, you just got to keep it pure in any way that you can so you can remain on that course.
I love that. Thank you so much, Richard.
Oh
So,
yeah.
if people want to talk more with you, want to hire your services, whatever, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, I've already extended this invitation to you multiple times. You got to come fly and visit me in Costa Rica so we can play some pinball and hang out and
Okay,
have a
that's a
great
good idea.
time.
But we can, I don't think that you can accommodate us all. So if someone, before they come flying towards Costa Rica,
He's so
where can
smart.
they
I knew you
find
were going
you?
to say that. I have a very large Facebook fan page, 140,000. And naturally, when we put this there, it will give you some more audience, but it'll give your audience a real chance to see the pulse of my industry. We are north of Panama, south of Nicaragua. Costa Rica is the only democratic society in Central America. No standing armies, so they put their money back into education. A
Nice.
95% literacy rate, great infrastructure, Amazon, HP, Intel, Oracle here, medical and ecotourism. And finally, if you want to shoot me an email, CEO Costa Rica's callcenter.com. And I tell you what, I'm going to give you a special today. If anybody mentions my buddy, the doctor, I will definitely do role play with you, review your script, give you tips and tricks. It's not for free. I'm paying it forward for my buddy. And so I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, that's a very generous offer, Richard. And guys, I invite you to get in touch with Richard because that's gold. So, Richard, I want to thank you because it was great. It was amazing. I knew it anyway. So, so thanks for having spent your time and your knowledge and your expertise with us here on Triumph and Trials. And I hope we get you back soon.
I would love it. I had the best time today. Thank you so much. It was great spending time.